Welcome. So I've finished the 3D print of the box, and there it is. There's the text, which had an engraved cut of 1 millimeter, or an extruded cut, should I say? And that's worked nicely. And then here's the text on the side, and this had the extrusion of 0.5 millimeters coming out of the box without any support material, and that's actually worked very, very well. Had I gone any further than 0.5, 1 millimeter, I fear that would have not worked so well with the overhang and without any support material, but that's looking good at 0.5. So I can also see as well on my original design here that fits absolutely perfectly onto my original drawing, and I've got my playing card here. Playing card fits in there perfectly too. Now there is just one thing that I've done wrong here, and that is I laser cut my lid, and this is such a tight fit that if I push it in there, it's going to be stuck, and there's no way for me to get this out. So of course what I realized was that I had to add in a little cutout like that. So I can push this in. It's a lovely tight fit, so that doesn't fall out. Really nice. I can put my finger in there, and I can just pull it out there. And I've also just got my initials down there in the bottom engraved as well. So what I'm quickly going to do is show you in 2D design how I went from how I added the cutout basically for my finger. Right. So here's my 2D design CAD file, and I'm going to come to the circle tool, and I'm going to go to a circle with a given center and then defined radius. And I'm going to define here, I calculated roughly that my finger was about 25 millimeters in width, or that would allow for my finger and other ranges of fingers as well. So I was thinking about the biggest finger you could come across. So if I put in here a radius of 12.5 millimeters, that's going to give me a diameter of 25. And I'm also going to make sure as well here that I have got grid lock turned on, and I positioned it about there. And then it occurred to me as well that I want to have it so I've got straight edges on the side here. So let's have a look at my grid lock settings here. I'm going to put this to 2.5 and that to 2.5. The reason for that is because I know that this was from the center, this was a radius of 12.5, so that's going to be 5, 10, 11, 12.5. So by having a 2.5 step spacing, I'll be able to snap onto that point. So let's just confirm that. And then now with the straight line tool, I'm just going to put a straight line on there and a straight line on there like that. Okay, so let's just trim that up now. I'm going to come to delete part tool, and I'm going to delete here, 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 and I also want to just delete, if I just zoom in here, delete that edge and delete that edge there. Okay, so that's the cutout for my finger. Now I need to make sure that it's in the center of the design. Now, it doesn't quite look right at the moment, and it's also a little bit confounded here because I've got a width for the actual lid here of 63 millimeters, which is not that easy to actually find the center for. Hopefully you can see 63 millimeters, half of that is going to be 31.5. So to help me do this, well, there's several things I can do. First of all, let's just define that this is not in the center. I'm going to get the dimension line tool. I'm going to turn off grid lock and step locking. In fact, I'll keep step lock on, that's okay. I'll turn on the attach tool, and I'm basically going to snap onto that corner, snap onto, now look, this is not going to work. If I snap, no, I can snap onto, no, it's not going to work. If I snap onto that corner there, look, I'm going to get a dimension line which is not horizontal, and I want to show the horizontal dimension line. So I'm going to escape that. Let's come to my dimension line tools. I'm going to go to a horizontal dimensioning. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to snap onto that corner using the attach tool, snap onto that edge, and I can see here that that is 17.5. Same over here. Let's snap onto that corner. Good. Snap onto that corner, and this is coming in at 20.5. So clearly that's not in the center. Okay. So what I could do here is keep that horizontal dimension line tool. I could go to step lock, and I could define here an X value of 0.5 millimeters, and then basically I could start at that corner. I could come out to, now if I look down here at the relative grid reference, I want to come out to, what was it now, 31.5. So I'm going to come out to 31.5, which you look in the bottom left hand corner of the screen is right there. That's the midpoint of that line, and then I could try and now position this circle in that midpoint, but I'm going to do a different technique instead. What I'm going to do, oh, and look here as well, that's slightly off. I made a little mistake there. So look, that's how easy it can happen. This isn't quite in line with the edge of the lid, so I need to move that just 0.5 to the right. Okay, so that's more like it. I'm going to do a different technique. I'm going to come to the attach tool again, and to find the center point of this box, I'm going to draw a diagonal line attaching to the corner of the box there. In fact, where I'm actually connecting to there, let's just clarify, I'm actually connecting, if I select the box and go to Start Edit, I'm connecting to the beginning of this filleted arc here. So that's a node within the outline of this box, and that's why it's working. Okay. Now this therefore defines the center of the box. If I now delete one of those lines, I've now got an intersect, I've got an edge there. And what that will allow me to do is go to Straight Line tool, and if I now, let's have a see, if I turn off Step Lock and I'm going to right click on the radial lock tools here, and what I like to do with this is turn on only active on line drawing and marquee box rotations. That is so useful. With that selected now, I can snap onto that line, and now as I draw the line up, it's going to snap with a radial lock to vertical, and I can bring this up, and I think at this point I am going to turn off the attach tool, I'm going to turn on the grid lock, and I'm going to bring it up, and I'm going to snap it to that point right there. Okay, so that now means that what I should be able to do, let's just have a look at this. If I select this, right, yeah, it's not quite working because this isn't actually, this new center point for this circle isn't touched on the grid. So what I should have done with this circle, and I thought about this when I was doing it, is I'm going to delete that circle, and I'm going to bring it back in again. I'm going to drop it there. I should have kept the complete circle, because now if I select that complete circle, then that is now snapping to that grid point. And if I now turn off grid lock and turn on the attach tool, then this will now allow me to snap that in onto the center point of that line, and again that's going to be absolutely perfect. As you can see, the center of that circle is now 31.5. Now you might think to yourself, you know, that second technique was really overcomplicated. Why don't I just use the first technique? Well, I'd agree in this particular context, but there are lots of situations when you don't have the luxury of knowing that that's exactly 31.5 and you want to snap something in line with something else. The dimensions aren't clear, and using these radial lock tools, these attach tools, these ways of finding center points of objects it's really, really useful. And it's a bit of a game as well. I quite like it. So let's just come to the delete part tool. Let's trim that back now. I've got a bit more trimming to do, of course, because there's all these intersects happening with these dimension lines. That's what I want, and then all I need to do now, I might just actually select those lines there. I think I'm going to edit that and make it into one path. So this basically means that rather than being separate lines, it's going to be one continuous line. Okay, and now I'm going to just change that line color there to blue, and that will be ready to laser cut. I could technically, of course, delete that line as well. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it in there. I think in this case it doesn't make any difference. This is going to be a bit of scrap anyway. So there's my updated lid, and obviously you don't have to use this technique. You can put cutouts in the corner or cutouts in the middle, but that's the solution I came up with. That's the end of this video playlist. I hope you found it useful.